Okay, Chris, we have three big stories again this week in the world of Ohio technology and innovation. You ready to go live today on the Ohio Tech Report?
Yeah, I am, Jeff. And so, real quick, let's hop right into it. But story one is about a really awesome event that happened yesterday. It was virtual because we're in COVID times and everything's virtual. But the cool thing about it is it brought together people from all across Ohio. So this was a partnership project between OhioX, my organization, and the AI Education Project and a bunch of other groups from across the state, where we hosted an Ohio Leadership Forum that you also attended.
People,
yeah,
right?
yeah, over 150, where we talked about AI education and workforce, and it was a fascinating conversation. Thank you to Lieutenant Governor John Husted for serving as the keynote.
Right. In fact, there were business leaders, community leaders, education leaders, and the most fascinating part, and it's always rough, right? When you do these Zoom virtual events, the breakout rooms, you get put into smaller groups, and it starts a little awkward at first, and no one's sure who's talking. But then you start digging in, and you start sharing and realizing there's so many points of connection and collaboration with different people you may not interface with on a day-to-day basis. That countdown clock, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, private group over, go back to the main stage. Everyone was like, oh.
And our group was like watching the shot clock where like, I have something more I want to say, and then it's like we're gone. So it was incredibly well done. But as you said, there was Fortune 500 executives, startup founders and CEOs, tech leaders, dozens of superintendents and principals, government officials. And so for something that's such a big conversation, it was incredible to see the diversity and just the amount of leaders that came together for something like this.
Yeah, and consistent with our thesis is Ohio as an entity working together, collaborating to drive our economy forward, which is, artificial intelligence and workforce, great combo. And I loved how consistent with something we do every day. Start at middle school. We got to start kids and plant the seeds of inspiration and innovation when they're very, very young, and just get them on a path to success. Their success, our success. Yeah. So story number 2, ready to roll with that?
Let's go.
All right. This was, this is always, we're basically doing this catch up as we do every week. This is our live catch up. Sun's shining today, which is kind of nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But, this story broke earlier in the week, Governor's Cup, right? So Texas and Ohio won the Governor's Cup, which is, a function of Site Selection magazine. But Ohio is right on par with Texas as far as the number of projects that the state has going on. Texas won for the most projects, 781. Ohio won for the most per capita projects based upon a relative size at 419 projects. Obviously, in both states, projects were down slightly year over year, but still the volume of projects happening in the state of Ohio to capture number one per capita, right on par with Texas, which Texas is getting all the news these days, right around the flight of California residents, West Coast residents to Texas. But my favorite part of this announcement, then within Ohio, they rank the top 25 projects. And obviously I'm thrilled because Mahoning Valley captured number 1 and number 6, right? So great to see that, of the top 25 projects in Ohio, the top project was the Ultium Cells battery plant. That's the joint venture between GM and LG Chem. $2.3 billion project. It's going to employ 1,500 people. They broke ground, there's acquired additional real estate. They announced actually a second battery plant in Tennessee this week. That's interesting news. But this ecosystem we're building in EV is strong, which is also project number 6. Lordstown Motors Corporation, electronic vehicles, fleet vehicles under construction. There's another, several hundred, if not 1,000 jobs on the horizon. So I thought it was cool that we captured number 1 and number 6 on that chart.
Yeah, and I think it's a really awesome thing, obviously, great news, but a good time to almost like pause and look back over the past, because we're coming up essentially on the 1-year anniversary of everything shutting down. And so with the excitement 1 and 6 in Youngstown across Ohio, there's these big innovation projects that are popping up in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. To think that all of this has happened in the past year, and really in like the past like 6 to 8 months, there's just been this incredible momentum, because there was a solid like 3 or 4 months where we all just sat at home and had no idea what was going on.
Right.
So it really is an opportunity to celebrate what's happening in the Youngstown, Mahoning Valley area, but also all across Ohio too.
Entire state. And I think our last story, interesting observations over the course of the week. The internet is mad at the United States Postal Service for selecting Oshkosh as their provider for postal vehicles because they're gas combustion engines largely, right? So Workhorse, the Cincinnati-based company, which builds electronic vehicles, which owns a 10% stake in Lordstown Motors, was not selected for the United States Postal Service contract. And so letters have been, submitted from Tim Ryan and Sherrod Brown because the internet got really mad at the post office for selecting, a Wisconsin-based organization that's in the defense industry, but really has combustion engines. So they felt like it's going the wrong direction. So I just thought that story is still percolating. There are meetings being held to hopefully rail against that decision, but it's just interesting kind of how this kind of falls out and impacts this, once again, is a statewide story that would bridge, Cincinnati and the Mahoning Valley together.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens. But as you said, I know members of Congress and senators are writing letters and trying to figure out exactly, how that process worked. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of more conversations about it. But hopefully, there's still so much excitement with this electric vehicle and electric battery, which is really born in Voltage Valley. So
right.
We're just at the beginning.
Voltage Valley hashtag. All right. Well, we're coming up on 7 minutes, and that's typically our commitment to say in 7 minutes or less, we're going to share, the latest stories in news and innovation in Ohio technology and innovation. And we're like, boom, we just hit 7 minutes live. So I think it's time to wrap it up. And if anyone has any questions, comments, ideas, things they want covered, questions, go deeper. Chris does an awesome job. He scours the internet all day, every day, and comes up with the coolest stories. And that's why we get together every week and share them with you, because it's I appreciate our time together, because you cue me into so many cool things happening that I just never have time to consume. So, Chris, I'm signing off. How about you?
Yeah, no, this was great, Jeff. Great catching up, and a ton of great news this week and a ton of excitement. So it is indeed a good week, as someone said after our event yesterday, that yesterday was a good day and this was a good week. So perfect opportunity to do so, and have a great weekend, because it is sunny in Ohio.
Yes. Until next time, have a great week, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.